David 4040 here with another ship's roster review, and today I'm going to take a look at Elron Ragna's ships. So let's first take a look at the fleet he's currently using. So the fleet he's currently using is Executrix with the Geos, and he was recently using Biggs with TIE Fighter and Sunfac. And in Discord, he was wanting advice because he's been having a hard time um, cracking the top 20. So let's just take a look at your ships. And if I remember correctly, you have a very small roster to currently pull from. So the two goals that we're going to have, Elron, the two goals we're going to have for your ships in the future is getting a 7-star Chimera and getting a 7-star Falcon. And these will get, along that path, will get you the ships you need for future ship meta. But first, we're going to talk about the fleet you should currently be using. So the fleet you should currently be using, you are using, thankfully. I just want to make sure you have... So what you need to do with your fleet you're currently using, it looks like you're working in that direction, is maxing out the uniques on the Geo ships. So max out the unique on Geo Soldier next, then max out the basics, and then max out the specials. That will get you exactly what you need at the moment. In terms, so you're basically in the right direction. Finish 7-starring Geo Spy and Geo Soldier as soon as possible. I think they're rather fast farms, hopefully. If you have to with Geo Spy, take a break with your current Cantina farm and get it up. This is something you're using to get crystals, so it's well worth it to speed up that farm. Gear up Sunfac pretty soon. It looks like you have both Geo Spy, Geo Soldier geared up, but don't be afraid to take them to Gear 11, Gear 12, because again, these are guys you are using to hopefully get crystals daily. But overall, you're doing a great job, and it looks like you've been very focused in developing a good ships team. Now, in terms of reinforcements, I believe with your current star on the fleet commander you're using, you can get 3 reinforcements. Based on what you have unlocked at the moment, I'm going to suggest Biggs, Darklighter's X-Wing, First Order TIE Fighter, and Imperial TIE Fighter. Biggs of these 3 are going to probably be the only one that you keep more permanently, and either way you want to gear up Biggs because he's an excellent tank in ships. You're eventually going to want him for your Rebel fleet whenever you get the Millennium Falcon. So feel free to go all out on Biggs alongside the Geos. In terms of capital ships you want to have with your Executrix, you want to make sure you max out Victory at all costs first, in my opinion, because this is going to give an overall offense boost to your team compared to these other abilities that only go off on his turn, whereas Victory at all costs gives everyone a buff, which means your Geos will be getting out even more damage. So you should have maxed out that first. And since you haven't, I would double down on that ability now. It's tied to the character, which means you're going to need to gear up Tarkin. So gear up Tarkin at least gear 11 so that you can max out that ability, because that ability is fairly important. So now that we've talked about your current fleet, it's really simple. Just Executrix, max out certain ability on him, max out Biggs, max out his reinforcement ability since he's probably going to be one of your primary reinforcements. Max out First Order TIE Fighter. Well, not max out, but work on it a little bit. It should be one of your current reinforcements probably. An Imperial TIE Fighter, both good ships to be using alongside what you have. However, we're going to want to pick out some other ships for you to use. And since your ship roster currently isn't that large, Let me talk about in general what we're going to look at. So first, we're going to look at rebel ships to get you the 7-star Chimera, because that's going to be a lot easier in the short run to improve your fleet, especially if you're uh, going against a lot of rebel fleets. I find that Chimera is a better fleet commander for Geos against rebel fleets, whereas Executrix is a better fleet commander for the Geo's pre-rebel meta. So it just depends on the meta you're currently facing. So if you're currently facing a lot of rebel fleets with the Millennium Falcon, we're going to want to get you to that Chimera fast, because that's going to be a lot easier to gear up to immediately improve your fleet. Plus, you're going to need those rebel ships anyhow for when you get the Millennium Falcon. So what are those rebel ships you're going to want to use? Well, let's go to the units here. Ships. And the first one is going to be Phantom. Is there a way I can look? Let's go to your characters. Do you have? Okay, I'll just talk about it. So first thing we're going to want to do is units here and Phantom. So Phantom 2, you're required to have both Phoenix ships in order to get a 7-star Chimera. So you're going to want to get this anyhow. You're going to want to get your Phoenix characters up to get your Grand Admiral Thrawn, which you will need for Chimera as well. So you're really not wasting. And Phoenix is a great team. I personally geared them up recently and don't regret it. I love using them, and they've done a lot for me in other areas of the game, like territory battles. So, but once you get this is going to be your first reinforcement once you get it, because there's two really good things about this ship. First off, Covert Strike here is excellent because of the cooldown of call reinforcement on the allied capital ship. And the second great thing about it is this maximum impact, is essentially this is going to come in and deal a massive amount of damage, probably killing off a ship. It can deal between 80 to 100k in damage on a crit normally. So Covert Strike and Maximum Impact are two abilities here that you want to have maxed out. Overall, you want to have the characters on the ship well geared, but this is a ship that you can start using with the characters even around gear 9. It's just that good because of things like its reinforcement ability. So Phantom 2 should be one of your priorities, and this is going to work great alongside a Rebel fleet. The next thing you're going to want to get is the Ghost. The Ghost is just a well-rounded ship. You're going to have to get this for a 7-star Chimera and for a Rebel fleet no matter what. This ship is actually used. This is probably the most plug-and-play ship in the game. It can be used in almost any fleet, especially if it has the Phantom. There are other meta fleets in the past that's been used in, such as one with Xanadu Blood and Houndstooth. It's just a great ship overall, and it's currently used in the current meta as either a reinforcement or a starting ship alongside Houndstooth and Millennium Falcon. So you won't regret getting this ship up. And so that should be one of the next ships you go after. So now you're going to need, you have 3 Rebel ships, you're going to need 2 more to get a 7-star Chimera, alongside just having a 7-star Home 1 and gearing up that Home 1 for the eventual potential of a Rebel fleet. So what 2 ships am I going to suggest for those 2 slots, since you already have a 7-star Biggs? Well, first, Cassian Jewwing. The only problem with this one is it requires a lot of characters, so if you decide to go in the direction of Wedge's X-Wing in the short term, feel free. That way you can get that 7-star Chimera faster. But Cassian Jewwing is an excellent ship. It has a lot of dispel ability, has some counter chance, it stealths itself. And it works really great alongside the current Millennium Falcon meta, and that's what we want to work you towards in the long run. But we're going to have an intermediary team before you can get there, because Millennium Falcon will take a while to farm towards. And the other one is going to be Bistanjuing. This is also a really nice ship. This essentially is, I've never used it just because I haven't geared up the characters yet, but I'm going to soon. And this is a really great ship. It essentially acts as the TIE Advanced for Rebels, and a lot of people will use it in place of the TIE Advanced on various teams. So feel free to 7-star this ship to get you towards that 7-star Chimera. So these are all ships that I just suggested that are going to be great for that Rebel fleet, but they're also going to get you towards that goal of the 7-star Chimera. So they work 2 in 1 there. So next step, though, is actually getting the ships to get your 7-star Millennium Falcon. And your first priority here should be the Houndstooth. Not only is this the best tank in the game for ships, since it's the best tank in the game for ships, you want this ship no matter what. It should be probably your number 1 priority farm. It will improve your current team and be used in future teams. You can use this in place of Sunfac on your starting team and use Sunfac as a reinforcement, because having a tank reinforcement is really annoying. And I've played against ships that had Sunfac as a reinforcement with Houndstooth as a starting tank, and I absolutely hate it, and they're difficult to contend with until this new Millennium Falcon meta has come out. But Houndstooth should be a number 1 priority, regardless of whether or not you're going after the Millennium Falcon. But furthermore, your number 2 priority for bounty hunters should be the Slave One. Slave One's overall a good reinforcement with the ability to come in on taunt and has retribution. It deals a good amount of damage on its basic, inflicting target lock. It has some good internal synergy. It's basically a plug and play reinforcement in this game currently. So I suggest having it there, and either way you have to have it for the 7-star bounty hunter event. And out of the other bounty hunter events ships, the third most important is going to be Xanadu Blood. If you're trying to pick your priority farming list so that you can get up other good teams in the interim, Xanadu Blood is another excellent ship. I haven't used it simply because I haven't been able to get 7-star yet, and it's not as good against these Millennium Falcon teams. But you can surely use it in other areas of the game, like Grand Arena and territory battles, to put some good teams together for attacking. And it deals a lot of damage. It has a AoE, powerful AoE, which in ships is rare. And it has a decent reinforcement too if you want to bring in as a reinforcement. And then, of course, if you're going after Millennium Falcon, you have to get the IG-2000. This will mainly be used alongside a general bounty hunter fleet for something like territory wars, but you have to get it 7-star in order to get the 7-star Millennium Falcon. So, but I will say you should make this out of the 4 bounty hunter ships your least prioritized in terms of farming order, just because it's less important overall in the game. So if you're trying to build up multiple fleets, it's going to be less important to get there. In the end, your goal, Elron, right now should be a Millennium Falcon team, because that's currently the meta. It's a pretty uncontested meta. People who don't have the Millennium Falcon, which includes me, have a difficult time climbing in ships. So if you want to avoid that future, you need to work in that direction. But in the meantime, there's specific ships you can work on to include your current fleet. Just gearing up and starring the characters you currently have in your fleet is best. And if you're facing rebel teams already in your fleet, I suggest definitely rushing towards that 7-star Chimera. Either way, you want to have that 7-star Chimera because it doesn't hurt for having a wider variety of fleets and options. And it's the best capital ship in the game, probably, even though Home 1's currently being used in the meta. But and then getting those rebel ships I suggested up to 7-star is going to help you go ahead and build that fleet for when you get the Millennium Falcon, while also getting yourself towards the 7-star Chimera. And then on top of that, the bounty hunter ships are going to give you good bounty hunter fleet to put together for things like territory wars, while also getting you towards the 7-star Millennium Falcon. So I hope this gave you some insight. Continue working on Geos. These are going to be alongside the other two teams, the Rebels team and the Bounty Hunter team that I basically suggested. This is another team that's just going to be a core good team that you will be able to use in various game modes for the foreseeable future, even if they're not number one in the meta anymore. But if you have any questions about exactly what I'm suggesting to you, or you feel like you're getting to a point where you need further direction in what you're doing in ships, Elron, reach back out to me. I'd be willing to make another video or just talk to you about it in Discord. But I hope this helped. This is David4040. Talk to you later.